Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm really excited for today. It's been a long time since Dennis and I have teamed up, but I love how our communities kind of, go hand in hand because, I talk a lot about nature and I've got a little bit of gardening, but anytime I mention gardening in my community, I'm always like, Dennis. So this is the famous Dennis that I talk about, and he talks like way more depth in soil than I would ever even begin to understand or know. And so I'm really excited to have him here and talk about the living soil and connecting back with nature because I'll let him go into why. But yeah, he's got his own community, the living soil, and he's got a huge community over there. So any questions that you have, well, he's your guy. I don't know where you guys are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mary Heather, for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a while since we had a little shindig like this. So appreciate you reaching out. I'm happy to talk about soil and all the nerdy things. Yes, my name is Dennis. My hands are still dirty. My wife hates it. She tells me to clean my hands, but I don't think this black stuff will ever come off at this point. So I do have a living soil community. We talk about a little bit of gardening, but a lot about worms and the biology that goes into the worm into the soil. I also run the Las Vegas Worm Farm. I've been running that for 3 years now, I think. So that's where I do sell worms, and this is why I talk about worms and soil biology because that is it's a crucial part of the ecosystem, which is what we're going to talk about here today, right? And we're going to tie kind of together like what we do body wise or what Mary Heather does when it comes to the body, right? And making sure that we're putting the right things in there so that we can repair and heal and grow from things, right? And the soil is no different. So we're going to kind of combine those today and I'm going to show you guys how they kind of link together. And if you've never heard this before, it might be different. It might be shocking. Maybe not the body stuff, but when we get down to the soil and how similar they are, you might be like, oh my God, I didn't know it was like that. So that's kind of what we're going to jump into today. So I think before I start doing that, I should probably share whatever it is that I'm going to be talking about. And in this case, oh, I guess I got to open my document up first. In this case, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about reconnecting with nature through living soil, which is kind of different, but at the same time, it's going to be good. It'll be good. So, Microsoft PowerPoint, yes, that's what we're trying to do. Opening SharePoint. All right. Oh, wait. Nope, something's wrong. Gotta love it.
It might be that I
Refresh.
need to make it available for you to share, but I think you should be
Oh,
able to.
no. No, I should be able to. I think so. This is what happens when you don't have young people like my kids. They'll probably get this figured out in just a second. All right. Zoom meeting,
You
screens,
need to add
advanced.
Dennis as a co-host.
He is a co-host
No.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I got it. I got it. I got it. I hit the wrong button. That's what I did. Reconnect. There we go. All right. I'm gonna slide myself in the middle here. All right. And that way y'all can look at both screens, y'all can see everything. So this is what we're gonna be talking about today. Oh, it does not give me my notes. That's okay. Does Dennis really need notes? Probably not, but they're good to have just in case. So these things, y'all see them? Bambi and all these plants and stuff. This stuff grows naturally all over the place. Not here in Las Vegas, but over there in West Virginia and Napa, absolutely they do. So they're growing all over the place, just not here. The cool thing about it is a lot of these plants that are growing, right? They grow naturally. They don't need any human intervention. We're not putting them there. They just happen to pop up, right? How is that possible? How is it possible that when we go somewhere for a walk, right? Like Mary Heather just talked about, they went up to those devil's teeth, what was it? She's
Dragon
Dragon
tooth.
Tooth. There we go.
Yeah.
She went up to Dragon Tooth. She probably went up there and she saw all these herbs and all these medicinal plants, right? And it's like, wow. Why doesn't this grow in my backyard? Why? Why is it so hard that we can't take what Mother Nature's already doing out over there and do it in our own yards, right? It's kind of really simple. Mother Nature already knows what she's doing. She knows how to do it, when to do it. She knows what nutrients she needs. She knows what soil she needs. She knows what plants to put where. There's zero human intervention when it comes into those types of systems. My head's getting cut off. There's zero intervention that come from humans in those type of environments. Plants are very forgiving, but they're only forgiving without us. And what I'm trying to say is that when we start sticking our hands in things, we mess things up all the time as humans. And we don't do this intentionally. We do it accidentally, right? We always think that, oh, if this is good, then this will be better. In some cases, that might work. When we're talking about plants and growing things, it's not really, right? Like we started fortifying our water, right? They put fluoride in it and calcium and all these other things because it's like it's good. That's great for you, right? They start putting vitamin D in milk and like vitamin A and all these other things. But there's something missing here, right? And what scientists and doctors are starting to find out is that you got to have the right environment for those nutrients to be even absorbed by your body, right? So even when we eat some of these things that we've been fortified with, that we've been force fed, right? Because they put it into our foods and we can't get around it unless you're going to get raw milk from, a dairy producer or something like that. Our body might not be able to uptake it. And there's a reason for that. We fight nature tooth and nail as humans. We do. It's something that's I don't know if it's innate in us. We always want to improve things and make it better. And by doing that, we are fighting the natural process. What we really need to do is just reconnect with nature, not overlook it, not think that we can do better. Just reconnect. Just look at what she's doing, what she has in place, and do that. Nature isn't broken. It's just how it works. It's not broken. If a plant isn't growing there in your environment, in your backyard, it's not broken. It's not meant to be there sometimes. Now, sometimes we can egg these things on or we can make the situation better so that we can do things. But if you're in Florida, let's call it Napa, and you're trying to grow a banana tree, you want to rip it out and take it to Alaska, good luck. It's not going to make it. There's nothing we can do about that, right? So sometimes we just work with nature. Sometimes we can kind of coerce it along. So in these two images, you can see on the left and right that we have something that maybe some of you are doing and something that Mary Heather, maybe not during this season, but has seen around her backyard and maybe even out in California, right? When we use these things, we are forcing Mother Nature to do things that we want her to do. At the same time, we're destroying that brown stuff right here. All this brown stuff, right? We're destroying all of that. That's the soil. When we're adding chemicals into that system, we are actually destroying things. And scientists have kind of found that our gut is the same way. When we're force feeding it certain things, we're actually destroying things. You guys have all heard of yogurt, right? Everybody knows that yogurt have microbes in them. They're supposed to be good for your gut health, right? Well, that was just the start of it. There's a lot more that actually goes into it than just that. Gross, I know. I know. But both of these images have the same thing in them. Can either one of you guys tell me what that is or guess what it is?
What, microbes?
Boom, bingo. They have microbes. So when we're talking about soil health, right here on this side, and we're talking about gut health, they both have microorganisms. So there's something called a gut microbiome that doctors have now started to talk about, and it's coming to the forefront of things. And it's like, if we don't have the right organisms in our gut, then we're not going to be as healthy as we can be as human beings. I think that's pretty easy for people to kind of grasp, right? It's like yogurt is good for your gut because it helps digestion, right? And it's the microorganisms in that that have the ability to do that. But where do these microorganisms come from, right? Like our gut, our bodies innately have some of those microorganisms already in them, but some of those microorganisms come from outside sources, right? Quite a few of them come from outside sources. And in order for our body to be able to digest certain things, right? If we want to be able to get the most amount of calcium or vitamin D or this, that, and the other, sometimes we need the right microorganisms to be able to release those so that our body can actually ingest it and uptake it, right? It's kind of like, what is it, vitamin or A and D, right? You got to have both. You can't absorb one without the other, or you can't absorb uh, what is it? Some sunlight with unless you have another thing in your body. Like these things work hand in hand, right? This isn't this isn't something that we've just made up. This is already in place. This is what how Mother Nature has, or how human beings were created. We were created to work hand in hand with everything around us to make us as healthy as possible. So as long as we eat a bunch of different things, right, and we digest those things, then we can be as healthy as possible. Now, some of those things they have started to make. All of you guys have heard of yogurt, probiotics, prebiotics. Now I'm even hearing, I had a conversation with this lady who was studying postbiotics. I was like, I've never even heard of that. But these are all different types of things that we're adding into our gut to make sure that we can operate the way we're supposed to. Now, here's the crazy thing. I've been talking about this side the whole time, right? The whole time. And you're probably like, Dennis, but what about this picture over here? How we relating the two? Well, here's the crazy thing. The gut microbiome is very similar to the soil microbiome. Yep, it's called the same thing, just one different word. And that's because they all have their own ecosystem, right, made up of microorganisms that help it do things. In our gut, it helps us digest things, it helps us absorb things. In the soil, create nutrients for our plants. Yes, create nutrients in our plants or for our plant. Both of these are extremely important. Without them, things, yes, my internet does too, because it says your internet connection is unstable. So both of these will suck if we have everything we're supposed to be there. If we don't have everything in our gut, then we won't have everything that we need to be healthy. In turn, if we don't have anything in the soil, then we don't have the plants that are going to be healthy. The soil is just like the stomach, just like the stomach. If you want to be healthy, then the soil has to be healthy. So how does this all kind of work, right? Because we really want to talk about the plants that we're trying to grow at the essence, right? If we're talking about herbs and medicinal plants, we want those to make us as healthy as possible. But in order for that to occur, our gut microbiome has to be as healthy as possible. In order for us to be able to get all the nutrients out of that, we probably need a plant that is as nutrient dense and as healthy as possible, right? All of this comes at a microscopic level. Some of these you can see at about 100x. Some of them you can only see at about 400 plus x. And you need a special type of microscope to be able to see these microorganisms. And it doesn't matter if you're on this side or if you're on this side. The microbes might be different, right? Because they live in different environments. I mean, our bodies are pretty harsh on the inside, whereas the soil system is pretty, what's the opposite of harsh? Not harsh, right? It's pretty subtle. It's pretty nice, right? Neutral. That's a good one. It's pretty neutral. These two environments play, let's talk about this one first. If we take the soil environment and we take those microbes out of there, we turn into that picture that we saw at the beginning with the terrible soil and the good soil, right? But what we also do is we also put our plants in a state of turmoil where they are struggling every second of every day to just stay alive. And we do this when we add chemicals to the soil, or we do this when we leave the soil uncovered, or we do this when it's left open to the environment. There's a lot of different things that we can do as human beings that we think we're aiding the system where we're actually destroying that system. The only way you can actually tell if there's a system in place is to actually get a microscope and look at it or actually run a test to see if anything's there. Same thing goes for our gut. Now, if we want to be as healthy as possible as human beings, then we have to be able to eat the plants that are as healthy as possible to reap all of those benefits. So if you want to be having a good gut health, right, which we are now finding out or have been finding out, found out that is super important to our human health. You got to have a good gut health, right? So that our bodies can absorb all the nutrients that would be in the plants that we're trying to eat. You have to have a healthy plant. And in order to have a healthy plant, it starts with the soil and making sure that you have all the microorganisms, right? The right micro, the soil biome, you want to call it like that, since we're using that word, since I'm using that word today. You got to have everything there in order for it to be able to work the way it's supposed to. We can we can put things there, right? But we got to remember that moderation is the key. Just like human health, right? Like if we're going to eat something or we're doing tinctures, I'm pretty sure Mary Heather is never going to tell you to down a liter of a certain type of tincture, right? Like it's probably not a good idea, right? Or she's probably, or somebody's going to tell you, you need to take some nettle soup or nettle tea. Probably not going to tell you to drink a gallon of it because it's probably going to go bad. It's probably going to go wrong this really, really quickly. And instead of ending up better, you're going to end up worse in the hospital somewhere. The same thing goes for the soil. Making adjustments have to be very small and incremental, right? And when we do that, we end up with a healthier plant. So the plant will go through different stages, and these stages, I guess, can be measured with metabolites. There we go. The word faded on me. And different metabolites, right? So the initial or first stage one metabolites basically start with the plant being able to just grow and do what it needs to. Once it hits its secondary metabolites, then it's when you that's when you start hitting your the things that we need or the things that make the plant beneficial for us as human beings, right? So in this case, if we're looking at specific wild lettuce, right? And we want all the beneficial benefits that come from the wild lettuce, well, then it needs to be able to produce secondary metabolites. And those secondary metabolites will create those important compounds that we need to be healthy as human beings. That will only occur if there's everything in the soil there that needs to be there in order for the plant to be able to create that. Now, the crazy thing about this is the gut is the kind of the same way. In order for us to extract all of those nutrients out of that plant, we got to have the right microorganisms in our gut to be able to pull all of those things out. This is how both of these systems are really very, very close in how they interact with each other. Not interact with each other, but how they act, right? If you have no microbes, you might have a plant, but you're not going to get the medicinal properties out of it that you're looking for. You can have a gut, but if you don't have the right microbes in your gut, you might not be able to digest that plant and extract everything out of it that you need to be able to be as healthy as possible. The microorganisms are the key here, and they're so tiny and on a microscopic level that sometimes we can't even see them. I mean, even when I use my 400x microscope, I know y'all can't see it, but it's sitting right here. can't tell the difference between some of the bacteriums. And I mean, I'm, this, it's kind of insane. Now, let's kind of dive into all of those microbes. I guess I got to change my picture. Here we go. I think you guys know what this is. It's a picture of a city, and there's buildings, and there's trees, and there's a bunch of different things. But there's something that you don't see. Well, I guess you do. There's some here, here, and here. People. If we take this picture and we see a bustling city that's got skyscrapers and parks, and it's got, what is that, two rivers that are going through it, right? And these bridges and boats, and is that a greenhouse? Greenhouses and domes and birds flying. Like, it's a beautiful place to be. But why is that? What makes this a beautiful place? Think about that while I drink my water. Everybody has a different reason why they think this is beautiful. It could be the greenery, right? Some people, they see the backdrop and they're like, that's a beautiful city. I would love to live in New York City, right? Around, what is it, Central Park. They think that's beauty. Some people love the sunset and they're like, this is a perfect spot. I would put my house here because I get to see the sunset every day. Or maybe that's a sunrise. I'm gonna call it a sunset. The crazy thing is what makes this possible is every individual person in this city. Each individual person in this city has a specific job, right? Mary Heather does her herbal stuff. Larry likes to drink wine. I don't know what Larry likes to do, but I'm gonna say Larry is a wine connoisseur and maybe he does the grape thing. Jim likes to grow sunflowers. Actually, he likes tomatoes, but he does that. In this city, you have engineers, different types of engineers. You have plumbers, different types of plumbers, electricians, doctors, nurses, lawyers, firefighters, military guys, uh, forestry people, water people, right? I don't know what those jobs are called, something with the water district, right? All of these people, they have a very specific job. They were trained in that one job and they do it very well. And all of them together make up what you see in this image, which is a bustling city that to a lot of people would be a beautiful place to live. Now, Dennis is talking about a city and all this stuff, and it's like, Dennis, weren't we talking about plants and gut microbiome? How are you going to tie this back together? Great question. I'm not. Just kidding. We are. We were talking about the microorganisms that are in the soil and our gut. There's trillions and quadrillions and who knows how many numbers, different species of these microorganisms. And that is the people in this picture, the people who put everything in place, the builders, the concrete guys, the pavement guys who are creating the roads, the people who are putting in the flowers, and I'm sure there's different arborists that put in the trees, right? Everybody has a very specific job. Every microorganism has a very specific job. So the more diversity, the more people come to the city, the more things can be built, right? Everybody's been through a little podunk back country road town, right? And it's like four houses and that's it. And you're like, man, this place is run down. I wonder why. Probably because they only have a guy that knows how to farm corn and somebody that knows how to fix trucks. They don't have a guy that knows how to make roads, the guy that knows how to make buildings, and that is your soil. If your soil is destroyed, you're working on a very small scope. You don't have a big scope. You don't have a lot of people to build all the things that you need. if you want that bustling city that everybody wants to come to because it has events and concerts and movies and sports events, right? Like if you want that, you have to foster an environment for that. And the soil is the exact same way, and your plants are the exact same way. If you want the plant, the best medicinal plant possible, you need the diversity in the soil. You have to have all those different people. Without them, you're that small town way back out on the country road, right? That's struggling. It's trying to figure it out. Can they get there? Yes, but it might take some time. So you got to build an environment for all of these things to be able to live and survive and thrive. Now, I stole this picture. All the other ones I made, but I stole this one. If you want to create that bustling city, then you have to foster an environment for everybody that wants to live there. If you want a big city like that and you want a park, then you're going to have to bring in the arborists and the florists and the landscape people and the landscape design people to build that. You're going to have to bring in the concrete guys to build the skyscrapers. You're going to have to bring in all the street pavers to do that. This is how you do that. This is how you destroy it. Synthetic fertilizers and chemicals, they will only feed one single thing, and that is the plant. And they become reliant on that to be able to survive. I want to give you guys an example. All of you guys have been to a park or a pond or a lake or a zoo, I'm sure, probably at some point in your life. And if you haven't, go check it out. There's probably this sign posted there. And this sign, it says, do not feed the wildlife. And it's plastered everywhere. And you will get in trouble if you feed the wildlife. Because underneath that sign, it says, ticketable offense, minimum $1,000, right? So they don't want you to feed the wildlife. I asked this question, and a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, yeah. It's because we don't want to feed the wildlife because then they become dependent upon us as human beings. This is no different. This right here is the exact same. If we're adding fertilizers and chemicals to our soil, our medicinal plants will now become dependent on us. And there are studies out there that have shown that plants will stop producing exudates, sugars that feed the biology in the soil because they don't need to anymore. They've evolved to suck on this right here, this slow drip of nutrients going directly to the plant. They don't have to foster the normal process anymore, right? Those ducks, they go to that pond because Tamara is feeding them bread every Saturday. Matter of fact, the same ducks show up. The cute little baby one, that one, it shows up because it knows that Tamara is going to be there feeding it bread. And if it knows that, then it knows that it can hold out and it doesn't need to go into the uh what are cattails to go get its other food. It doesn't like to go to the cattails because they're dense, it's sticky and pokey, and then it has to clean its feathers when it gets out of there. It's easier for that baby duck just to wait for Tamara on every Saturday to get that piece of bread. But what happens when Tamara doesn't show up? That duck is now going to go hungry. And if it's so if it's been doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks or months, it might not make it until the next week when Tamara shows up again with bread. But it has now lost some of its ability to be able to go to the cattails and figure out where this food is at. Because sometimes the food moves in natural environments. Then Fish, they don't just stay in one spot, they go to another spot. Food sources move from location to location, and animals are trained to be able to figure out that and then go find a new food source. But if the plant is now becoming reliant, I'm switching from a duck to a plant. If the plant is now becoming reliant on us as human beings for all of its nutrients, it actually stops making those exudates. It will stop feeding the biology. Once it stops feeding the biology is no longer going to feed the plant any nutrients because that has ceased. And now you have a plant that will struggle, just like that baby duck. It doesn't know where to go get the food. Where's it at? Tamara's not here. Quack, quack, right? Quack, quack. Now it's a sad duck because it doesn't have Tamara to give it his bread. The same thing goes for the plant. The plant's like quack, quack. Well, plants don't quack, but it's like, where's my where's my chemical fertilizer? Where's my chemical fertilizer? It's not there. Why didn't I get some? Now what do I have to do? And because of that process and how it actually works, the plant will eventually learn again, but it will usually die before it gets to the point of being like, oh, I need to produce exudates to feed the soil so that I can get the nutrients that I need. And this means that your plants that you're going to be using for medicinal purposes are not going to do what they need to do. Because, like we talked about earlier, plants that are struggling will never make it to its secondary metabolites. It is struggling. It is stressed. It is basically trying to hold on for dear life. So there's no way that it'll make it to its secondary stage where it's producing those medicinal compounds that you're trying to ingest or take to feel better, to be healthier. This system works. It does. It absolutely does. But you have to keep feeding it. As soon as that drip runs out, it's over. As soon as it no longer right for as soon as the fertilizer stops being applied, it struggles. Now, the crazy thing here is that this system is a lot more resilient and has the ability to bounce back. This one, not so much. Additionally, this drip will actually destroy everything around it. Like I said, it will no longer feed the microbes, or the plant will no longer feed the microbes. So the soil will basically dry up and just turn into dust. And because the microbes no longer need to be there, they no longer need to break down organic material to be able to feed any plants because the plants are already getting the food. They have been trained this way. And over time, that soil will just get destroyed. Now, this system on this side, well, my hand can't go that far. I want to point like this, but it's like right here. This system is way more resilient. If something happens in this system, it's okay, it'll bounce back. If something happens in this system, everything dies because there's one point of failure on this system. On this one, there's not a single point of failure. You've got tons of microorganisms, you got tons of different plants. They're all reliant on each other. One plant dies, it turns into food for the microorganisms, it cycles that for the next plant to uptake. That system is a resilient system. It is only reliant on itself. And if we mimic that system, then we can benefit from all of that. These plants are happy and healthy. They're not struggling. They've got roots that go deep that interact with all these microorganisms. Not only are they producing primary metabolites, but they're producing secondary metabolites, which means that they're going to have more flavor, more color, more smells. And all of this is important when we're talking about medicinal plants that we're going to be ingesting or topically applying, or I don't know what other ways you can apply medications or these things, but if you're using them, they're going to be better for you because they're going to have more of those compounds. And I'm sure if you went and got your plants tested to see what medicinal compounds they had in them, this one will have way more than this one, which has been proven in agriculture currently. There's studies that, well, there's one that was posted in my group. I can't remember who did it about oranges. And they showed that this system had way less nutrients than this system. An orange, just a simple orange. So imagine take,
I think you can tell in the flavor too a little bit, like the difference in the flavor. If you get a homegrown food, you're like,
Mhm.
ooh, that tastes so much better than the store-bought. So
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that flavor comes from the secondary metabolites. It's when that plant has excess sugars from the primary metabolites that it will take those sugars and push it into the secondary metabolites. And that's where your sweetness comes from. Everybody's had a store-bought strawberry. And if you've never had a wild grown strawberry, go find one. There's a world of difference, and it will make you think that you've been lied to your entire life, which you have been, because that's not what a strawberry tastes like. The systems, if we follow what Mother Nature does and we stop injecting things where it shouldn't be, or we stop thinking that we can do things better, Mother Nature will kind of take care of it and grow the things for us. I think I've covered everything there. So, how do we fix this? It's simple. And I wish it was harder so I could spend more time on it, but this is going to be about a 30-second speech. I'll move out of the way. You start with this one. That right there is worms, are worms, or is worm castings. Remember earlier we were talking about all those that microbiology that was in your gut, right? And like in the soil and the root of your plant. A majority of it comes from here. Scientific evidence has shown that the microorganisms and the diversity that a worm casting brings are second to none. There's nothing else out there that has different the number of species that a worm casting has. And if you don't believe me, go check out AgroData's study on this specific topic. They got a grant to be able to test all this, and they did a bunch of different things, and then they published that. I think it was like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. It all starts with this thing right behind my head first. You got to have the biology in there. If you don't have the biology, you can throw all of this in there that you want. In this case, this is going to be compost, right? You can put all the food that you want inside of your gut. You can pick all the medicinal plants that you want, but if you don't have the right gut microbiome, if you don't have the right soil microbiome, you're never going to be able to digest that, break it down, and release those nutrients. Never. So it all starts at this bottom layer. It all starts there. You got to have the microbes first if you want to be able to release or get access to those nutrients. After you have those microbes, then we can step to step two, which is adding organic material. Diversity is going to be the key here. The same thing that I talked about with the worm castings. Diversity is key. It goes back to that picture with the city. We want everybody. Come join us. Not like a cult, but like a big city, right? Join the big city. We need everybody to help make this place a better place, right? And the soil is no different. You need diversity. And it doesn't just mean diversity from the microorganisms, it also means diversity from the inputs that are going into it. I like to say compost because hopefully the majority of compost has a bunch of different things in it. There's a lot of compost yards that only use one or two items. I would rather have something that has 10, 15, 20 items. That's why a backyard compost pile is the absolute best because it has tons of different things in it. Now, if all you have is a big compost yard and that's all you have access to, you got to use what we got. You can't make up stuff, right? Just doesn't work that way sometimes. So we have to use what we have. But the organic material keeps the bottom layer happy because these guys down here are going to feed on that stuff up there. And if you think about it, isn't that how nature works? Doesn't nature have all of the worms and the biology in the soil? And then isn't it covered up with like leaves, twigs, sticks, dead material? It's how Mother Nature works, right? So why not just mimic that system? So do you add that organic material? That organic material is a food source for those microbes. The more food you have out there, the more those microbes are going to break down and release different types of nutrients. Like again, these different types of microorganisms, they have different function. They produce different types of acids or alkaline glues or enzymes to be able to break these things down. Not only just organic material, but also like sand, silt, and clay, rocks, limestone, granite. Yeah, they break that stuff down. It's not just weathering that occurs with rain and wind. It's also microorganisms in the soil. But you got to have all those microorganisms in there first. And then this, oh, I can't reach up there, but above the compost layer is the last layer, which is the protection for the soil. Everybody needs a little protection every now and the soil is no different. You got to have something to keep everything happy and healthy. So these are all the people living in the city. This layer is all the restaurants that are producing food to keep these guys happy and healthy. And then that top layer are the police and the firefighters and the public servants that are helping to keep everything in check. They're making sure that the bad guys stay away, that, everybody's doing what they're supposed to. If anybody's getting hurt, I'm going to come help you. They are protecting the city. Mulch protects the soil. Without it, it's the wild, wild west, right? There's not the sheriff can't do anything because he doesn't have any deputies, and it's over at that point. The same thing when your soil isn't covered. Nothing is going to occur. Well, things are going to happen, but it's not going to be the things that you want to happen, right? It's not going to be a nice place. So we got to make sure that we add mulch on top. Mulch, the definition of a mulch is anything that keeps the soil covered. It could be organic, it could be inorganic, which just basically means that it could come from a plant, it could be a plant, or it could come from plastic or be a plastic, rubber, anything like that. These are all mulches. It's just something that keeps the soil covered and protected. Now, if we have these three in place, then we're good to go most of the time. Where's my little button? There it is. Most of the time. But there's something that we have to consider. Just like our health, it takes time. You know, if you break your bone in your body, it's not just going to heal. You got to put a cast on it. You're going to have it on. I don't know. I've never broken a bone, knock on wood. So I don't know how long you keep a cast on for, but I'm assuming a few months, right? Depending on how bad the break is. But I've had stitches, and I know you get stitches, and it takes a while for that to heal before it's gone. And believe it or not, I still know where my stitches are because there's still a bump, which means that it's not completely gone. There's always going to be some type of indication that something has happened, right? Even if you've broken a bone, your bones might heal, but there's still going to be an indication that there was a break at one point in time. The soil is no different. It takes time to go from a broken system to a system that is happy and thriving. If you want to grow plants that are high in all of your medicinal properties, it's going to take time to transition from that to this. Now, there's a year on there, but I've seen it happen faster. It just depends on how degraded your system is, right? If you've been using chemicals for years and years and years, then you're probably going to be on this side where it's going to take a little while for you to get there. If you use chemicals every now and then, or maybe you're just starting with a system like here in Vegas where we have nothing, then things might happen a little more quickly. At the end of the day, you got to keep the system running and functioning effectively, though. And what I mean by that is there's simple things that are required to keep things happy and healthy. Just like human beings, we have to eat every so many days. We have to drink water every so many days. We have to breathe every second, or else we die. The soil is no different. If you want your plant to be happy and healthy, if you want your soil to be happy and healthy, it needs air, well, carbon dioxide, it needs water, and it needs food. And the image we had before this, if you layer those three things that way, then you can grow the happiest, healthiest plant that gets you the most medicinal compounds to get you as happy and healthy as possible. This doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to get rid of a flu overnight. You're not going to get rid of a cold, nor a broken arm, nor a sliced open forehead. It takes time. And the soil is no different, and your plants are no different. We can make things go faster. Neosporin helps a cut heal faster, right? We know that. Well, I can put extract on the soil, get those microbes in there faster so that it can produce more nutrients so my plant has more access to it. There's tools in our tool bag that we have to make things go faster, but it still takes time at the end of the day. Time is one of those things that these days I think is hard for us to grasp. Technology makes things very easy for us. Amazon has been wonderful because I can get a package overnighted to me, right? Like it used to be very expensive to get something. Y'all remember when we used to you do USPS Express? It'd be like $50 or $60 to get something overnighted. And now Amazon just does it for you like this when you sign up for $19 a month or whatever their subscription is. Like that's insane, right? So being able to deal with time is probably the most difficult thing. Just like when we get injured as human beings, when we have ailments and issues and problems, we want to get healed right now because we knew yesterday that we were better than we were today. But it takes time to get back to that place where we're no longer hurting. And your soul and your plants are no different. It takes time. But you can do it, you can get there. Persistence, right? Just like somebody that hockey players, I watch a lot of hockey. They get injured, they take a puck to the face or something, right? They break a collarbone. As long as you work on it and you work towards it, you let it heal, right? You put some bandages, you rub some neosporin, right? I don't know what other medicinal plants, some mint, maybe some garlic, right? And you just make a concoction, and maybe that makes it heal faster. We have tools in our tool belt, but you have to work on it continuously. But you'll get there. That collarbone will heal. That wound will callus over and then will go away. Same thing happens for the soil. I ran out of thoughts to say. So, healthy soil makes healthy plants. And if you want to be healthy, then you got to have healthy plants, which starts with healthy soil. Those healthy plants make you a healthy person because of your gut microbiome and all of the other things that Mary Heather talks about in her group. But you got to start out with a healthy plant if you want the biggest bang for your buck. You do, and that's going to take a little bit of time. And I understand. But that's why working with experts like Mary Heather or myself, you will get there faster. I will throw all types of different mint in my mouth to help my toothache. But if I don't know that and I don't remember which one it is, it's either spearmint or peppermint, one of those. If I don't know it's one of those, I'm chewing on the wrong thing and I'm barking up the wrong tree and I need help. And that's where Mary Heather will tell me,
Or
oh, you know,
toothache plant might be even better.
oh, well, there you go. Or a toothache plant. See? Things I don't know, right? You got to work with experts if you want to get from A to B faster. If you have a broken bone, you're going to have to go work with a exercise physiologist, right? To be able to get to fixing that bone and back up to operating as fast as possible. Can you do it on your own? Absolutely, you can do it. Just don't expect it to be quick. Or you're going to have to do a lot of work on your own to get it there, right? Which is studying, reading, all that. Or just get with an expert. Expert will help you skip some of those stages and get to where you need to be, but it's still going to take time. Gardening, growing plants, healing yourself and your body takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I deal with allergies and I've been eating all the honey that's been produced locally since I've been here. I still have allergies. Now, are they as bad as they were? No. or tolerable at best. But it wasn't when I first got here where everything shut out and I couldn't breathe, right? So things take time. If you take care of the soil, it will take care of the plant, which will take care of you. It absolutely will. There's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. This is just my way to skin a cat. I don't skin cats, but if I were, this would be the way that I would do it. You're not just growing plants, you're growing health. That's actually what you're growing. And it starts with your soil and it ends with you as intaking those and making yourself better. So hopefully you found this a little bit informative, maybe a little bit funny. I try to add a little funny things here and there, but I will open the floor up to any Q&As that anybody has or critiques. I like that too. Don't critique me too hard. The images were AI created, so I know there's problems. But that's all I got for you guys today.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
The
you're welcome.
the New York City picture reminded me. The first thing I thought of was diversity, and then later on in your talk, you talked about diversity, and that's what I got out of the New York picture was diversity.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. You got to have every little person, they bring something to the table, right? They all do. Everybody has a different specialty. All of us on this call, we're good at something and we suck at something. And the other people around us pick up where we fall off. And that's where we need everybody around us to help out. And the soil is no different. They need the microbes to help pull their part, right? Um, we
And
talk about nitrogen fixers, but sure. Go ahead, Mary Heather.
thank you so much for doing this, but I just wanted to mention this is something that we talked about a long time ago, but just like the microbiome in the soil, just like being out in the dirt and digging in the dirt can actually improve your microbiome as well. So just that synergy that you see, if you improve your soil outside, you're not just improving your plants, but you're actually improving your microbiome. So,
Yes.
like, all of that is interconnected, not just through the plants, but also like digging in the dirt and making sure that, grounding yourself. I'm seeing all over the internet, there's these grounding mats that people are buying
Oh yeah.
to like ground themselves. I'm like, literally put your hands in the soil, put your feet on the earth, and you will get the same grounding effect, even better because you'll have this microbiome that you could never get from a grounding mat. So I think that's interesting as well. I'm sure you can expand on that, but
So the grounding is definitely doable. Where I see it making an effect is the biology, right? When we don't have that direct contact with nature, we don't have direct contact with those microorganisms, and we need those, right? As a society, we've come around with all these, what are they called? The all those liquids, the sanitizers, there we go. All those sanitizers, right? And we're always like sanitizing this and sanitizing that. And it's like, that's not good for us as humans. We have to have those microbes. We have to be able to ground ourselves, touch the dirt, maybe not eat it, right? But like touch it. And those microbes will actually work their way into our bodies, right? And I think the grounding mats are probably a good way to get started, right? I think they have other properties, kind of like electroculture and stuff like that, which I'm not too well versed in. Um,
well, from what I've heard and read, they take actually the grounding that the earth, the same rate that the earth gives you,
mhm.
and they put it into a mat. So it's like
Mm.
so they're trying to simulate the earth, So I just think that's interesting.
Why simulate it when you could just take your shoes off
Right.
and go walk outside?
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I wonder too, though, are they not getting grounded as well because their microbiome of where they're at? Maybe they're in the city and they don't have a really good microbiome. And so maybe they're missing some of that as well.
Um,
So they're
yeah,
in for
absolutely. I
that.
think the more society the more as a society that we build up and kind of cocoon ourselves off, uh, we do find deficiencies in certain things. And I think maybe that image might not have been the best, but I think, yeah, if you go to a city and you live in a skyscraper, right, like in the Bronx or something like that, and you don't have access to a park or you don't have it's just concrete and walls, right? Um, I can definitely see you being more deficient than somebody that maybe lives around Central Park, right? Or
Hmm.
has access to that on a more on a regular basis, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, or the farmlands. Or
Or the
out here,
farm.
wherever these
Yeah,
people live.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I do think cities kind of have eaten away at some of that good microbiome, kind of concreted away everything.
Yes, I would agree.
So, yeah. And you guys have any other questions, comments? Any
I did good. No questions. That I take that as a compliment.
anyone ever use fertilizer and it gone wrong or vice versa? I know Jim does compost himself.
Right. I try not to use fertilizers. I mean, I don't use fertilizer. I don't try. I don't.
That's good. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is your group, Mary?
So I do, mine is Journey on Nature's Path, where we talk a lot about herbs, but just basically connecting with nature. So we talk about gardening, like herb gardens and how, all the things like how to use herbs in your daily life. So yeah, just a lot about plants.
Journey on Nature's Path.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. And Dennis, you can give them if you want to give your little uh
Oh. Oh, yeah, I could do that. So, if you guys want more information about what we talked about here today, which is the living soil, worms, composting, vermicomposting, things like that, you can jump over to the Living Soil community on school, or what's easier is just if you go to LasVegasWormFarm.com. From there, I'll have links to the community, and there's also other information on that website as well. But those are the places that you can go to kind of find out more about what I'm doing and information out there regarding living soil and like being able to grow stuff organically and naturally.
yes. And if you're watching afterwards, the links will be down below. So, yeah. And you guys are already in his group, so you guys are already top tier already. So, but yeah, anyone watching it afterwards. So yeah, well, thank you so much for coming and doing this. I always love hearing about the soil aspect. There's so much that goes on there that's so important. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And thanks for hopping on. And I hope to see you guys again soon.
Thanks for
Yep.
hosting, Mary. And
Thank
thanks.
you.
Yep.
Yep. I'll
See you
talk to you
again.
later, everybody.
All righty. Bye
Yep.
bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.